Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the final word. Everton 2, Brentford 3. A day of so many mixed emotions at Goodison Park yesterday. Just what was shaping up to be a fantastic day turned out to be absolutely horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. And I think a lot of people are feeling the same way today. Just absolutely shattered. I think shattered emotionally and physically, a lot of people as well. It was a long day, a lot of people there at Goodison Park, 3-4 hours before the kick-off, waiting for the bus to come in. But ultimately, just one mistake by a player, but more importantly, probably 2 mistakes by a referee. I've seen a game which was going one way go completely the other way, Baz.
Yeah. There's not really much to add there. You summed it up brilliantly. It's exactly what happened. It was the day that started quite well. You know, Burnley had lost at Spurs. Leeds equalised late at home, but missed the opportunity to win the game. Meant that a victory for Everton would keep us up, you know, make us safe. Obviously, it'd have been nicer if we'd have only needed a draw. But it wouldn't have mattered anyway, ultimately. But it was, you know, and then obviously we'd had the greeting of the coach, and then the atmosphere in Goodison was just electric. It really was. It was deafening when the players came out, and Everton started the game fantastically well, and it did look like it was going one way. All roads were leading one way, it seemed, and Michael Oliver and VAR decided to send it down a different path, and credit to Brentford, they took full advantage and they were very good, and we've ended up losing the game.
Yeah. Thanks for watching.
See you later. We're done.
No, it was yeah. As I said, you know, here, you know, you've got 2 games beforehand. You've got, you know, having gone through the Burnley game, and I know Burnley. I didn't watch either game. I couldn't, you know, obviously I didn't watch either game. Burnley obviously did very well, and we're unlucky. Then Leeds getting the last minute goal. Then you're thinking, right, you've got to get the win now. Obviously, I was outside for the team and coach, and I was there for about 1:30 actually, and the coach didn't get there till after 3, which was mad, and the whole thing was getting built up, and people had their phones on listening to the Brighton game, and actually at one point, people were saying Brighton had gone 2-0 up. It was very strange, and then the team news comes out, and it didn't really hit me, the team news, because obviously Brantwaite was playing Andre Gomez, but I think everyone was so elated beforehand that the team news was just like, oh yeah, whatever. Like, I didn't even realise Don was playing until we kicked off. It was just like, because I'd been so focused on just, I don't know, the everything about the game that. But obviously that had a major effect on the game, those players playing. But listen, we started really well. We got on the front foot. The atmosphere in the ground was absolutely incredible. Everybody was up for it, can't fault it. And, you know, we had a couple of chances early on. And you know, Gordon probably should have done better. Richarlison puts a header just wide of the post. And then we take the lead, a scruffy free kick, really. Don't know if it was mental or not. Really scruffy free kick. Richarlison puts it across, and ultimately Dom's got something on it to put it across the line, and you're 1-0 up, and the place was absolutely rocking. And yeah, it's just, you know, you're just thinking this is going. I never felt like it was going too well. It really never crossed my mind. It was the players knew what they had to do. They were doing it. You know, you knew Brentford were going to be good on the ball, get the ball wide, try and get the ball through the middle for the front 3 who were quite fast, but. You know, and then a ball goes into the box, and you know, the Brentford. I never quite seen it at the match because everything happened so fast. But ultimately, you know, a Brentford player's got a handful of Richarlison's shirt to the point where he pulls it above his, you know, midriff. Very reminiscent of Rondon when he was pulled down against Brentford early on the season, which was completely ignored as well. The ball gets punted down the other end of the field, and before you know it, Ivan Toney stole 1 yard, 2 yards over Brantwaite, and as any good striker should do, he gets across the the defender, you know, very much like Anthony Gordon against Liverpool, funny enough. Feels contact, clips his own heels, goes down, and it's a red card, and you're just like, from one thing to another, from complete control, should have been a penalty, to being down to 10 men against the team who've got a world-class operator in midfield, and we have got another centre-back, and we've got a Wobie playing right back, and it just shows you how things can change in an instant.
Yeah, you know, you're absolutely right, we'd started brilliantly, and you know, we'd missed chances in them opening few minutes, but got the goal, and then momentum was building. Richarlison hooked another one wide. Andre Gomez tested Raya from 20 yards and that. And we were playing really well, and Brentford really couldn't get any kind of foothold in the game. And that ball goes into the box. Richarlison's clearly being held. I could see it from my seat. People were screaming. Brentford just lashed the ball clear. And like you say, Tony gets ahead of Brantwaite, and I suppose Young's inexperienced centre-back has got too tight to him. Instead of letting him run onto it and then trying to recover because he is quick, let Pickford try to maybe hold him up and get round the back of it. He goes and clumsily leans on him, and Tony's, he does push him. No real complaints. Tony clips his own heel, but he's on his way down. So it was a push. I've got no complaints about the red card at all. You know, none at all. But the complaint is that 6 seconds earlier, it was a penalty. It was an absolute penalty, and we're talking around us, and I'm saying that's Brantwaite won't be sent off because it'll be, once they check VAR, it's a penalty. Yeah. It'll be brought back. Brantwaite walks off the pitch, and you're going, hang on a sec, what's happening here? Because yes, we understand that that's a red, but it shouldn't have happened because that's a penalty. And it's Michael Oliver, and you know, he's turned into an absolutely abysmal referee.
Listening to the explanation doesn't make it any easier. It doesn't. You know, the VAR would not have had any complaints if Richarlison, the pull on Richarlison had been was a penalty. So how is it not a penalty then? If you think it's a penalty,
tell him.
Then surely it's you've got to tell him.
The VAR fella, wouldn't you have said, Michael, that's a huge decision in this game. The thing is, there's been a penalty at the other end before it. So you need to go and have a look and see what you think. He should have gone over to the monitor to look at the penalty. If he looks and goes, nah, it's not enough for me, you know, that's one thing.
Yeah. But what's the difference between when Richarlison gets a penalty given against Spurs, Tottenham, you know, and the ref, and it being, oh, you better check that. And actually, when they did check it, you couldn't actually see. No. And he'd already give a penalty, so surely it should have been a penalty. Where, you know, I just don't understand that. What is the point of VAR? I just don't know there's so many grey areas when it comes to this.
Well, hasn't McGallagher said the point of it isn't to give the right decision?
Basically, yeah. But so what's the point of it then? If the VAR had come out and said, well, we wouldn't have given that penalty, then I understand that. But they've come out and gone, well, we'd have had no objections if it was a penalty. Because it was a penalty. So I don't understand that. So what you're basically saying is, the referee's in full control, so why have VAR then? It's either there to help or it's not. It's not there to ref the game. What it's there to do is go, we probably think that's a penalty, you know, so if you want to go and have another look at that.
What's the difference with a linesman flagging? Yeah. Like they used to flag furiously for a pull or something in the box, and the ref would go over and go,
extra pair of eyes. Penalty. In fact, they changed the name of it to assistant referee.
So what's the difference? What's the difference in VAR going, Michael, this is a huge decision because you're reducing the team to 10 men, but they should have had a penalty at the other end. We think, go and look at it first. And like I said, if he goes over and looks and goes, I'm not convinced, that's not enough for me to give a penalty, then at least he's made a decision as the on-field referee. For him not to go across to that, when we've been on the receiving end of so many of these, in the past, that to me just seems crazy because it's a game-changing decision.
Especially when it seems to be, the explanation seems to be that the referee thought that it was half a dozen or 6 of the other.
But who said that?
No, I know.
Because the FA haven't, and neither has.
No, I know, but that's what I find very interesting. It's like, again, it's a narrative. It's like, you put that out, oh, he thinks it's both. Well, it's not both, is it? It's not both. Richarlison's having his shirt pulled off the back of him. Therefore, it's a penalty. It's a free kick anywhere else on the pitch. In fact, it was a booking, you know, not long after for Mason Holgate. You know,
2 minutes later.
You know, so
for
it's
the same thing.
It's got to be, hasn't it? It's got to be for me a penalty, and it's got to be looked at. And the fact that it's not looked at just shows where we're going completely wrong with what we're doing in this country in our refereeing. It's absolutely scandalous.
But it's not even like, it's not even a case of, if you're saying it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, then okay, if you think Richarlison's pulling it, just go and check anyway. Go and check anyway. Have a look at it, like I said, and make your decision. Because there's, like we said before, there's no complaints on the Brantwaite thing. If you look and go, that, because what that decision should be is, does this change this next passage of play?
Yeah.
If it doesn't, then fine, go to that next passage of play. But if it does change the next passage of play, then it has to be looked at, doesn't it? And that has to be looked at, for me, because it does change it. Because if Everton are rewarded the penalty, then that ball being wellied forward's irrelevant. We get the penalty, we get the opportunity to make it 2-0. No one can say anything because you got it was a penalty. And if I'd seen it at the time, or the line at the flag, there'd have been a penalty, the play would have been stopped. Yes, he's knocked Tony over. And that's the thing, and I think that's the biggest issue. It's not whether it was a red card, because if the play carries on, it is a red card. Not sat here being biased, going, oh no, because Brantwaite, what could he do? Yeah. It was a foul. Yeah. It was a red card. There's no one's complaint. Rondon's was a red card late on. Yeah. There's no complaints there, but this one should have been looked at by Michael Oliver, because what the hell is that screen for? And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. This is why I think challenges need to be brought in. That's my opinion, that challenges need to be brought in, because if you can make that challenge and go, I want you to have a look at that's one of our official challenges, the referee goes and looks at it, at least you know that the on-field referee is having a look at it. If he looks at it and goes, it's not a foul, mate, you go, okay, we thought it was. Because otherwise, what are you using them for?
No, exactly, what's the point? Because I don't know what his view of the penalty. If he's looking straight on and he thinks Richarlison's got hold of his shirt, and there's another angle that proves that Richarlison hasn't got hold of his shirt, then that again is the VAR. The VAR will accept that.
There's his view. I asked Ned, but he's not listening, to put this up so everyone could see it. There's his view, Michael Oliver. There's no 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. The view's clear, and that should have been on screen, but Ned's paying no attention. So yeah, that's the thing, the clear view of it. So that's why I just find it really strange. I find it really strange that in the Tottenham game this season, we were given the penalty, and yet the referee was instructed to go and look at it. And when you look at it, Lloris still fouls Richarlison, and yet the instruction was to overrule it, and it was overruled and the penalty wasn't given. Like, I find it really, strange going back when VAR first came in, when we were winning at Brighton, and the referee, everyone played on, the ref gave a goal kick, and yet the VAR on the side told the referee to go and look at it and then awarded Brighton a penalty when no one had seen it, and the referee had given a goal kick. Well, the referee had actually seen the Brighton one because he said it was a coming together. Then he was instructed to go and look at it. So why is that happening in some games and it's not happening in other games? If you've got VAR, and this is for every team, this isn't just for Everton, it should be for every team. If you've got VAR, why not help the referee? It's a difficult job. I accept it. There's people throwing themselves on the floor. There's lots of stuff going on and off the ball. If you've got someone who can look at a thing and go, there's a decision to be made here, go and have a look at it. Why wouldn't you use that? Because then that way you're coming to, you're removing any of this grey area stuff, because fans like us are sat here going, why is he not give that? If Michael Oliver goes and looks at the screen, then it just becomes his decision. Do you know the way it used to be before VAR?
Well, that's the point, isn't it? What's the point of VAR if it's not assisting with these decisions? I just don't see that. You're in other sports, the technology is there, and it's there in real terms. It's not there in just like, we'll decide when we want to use it or we don't want to use it. If you have technology that tells you, that gives you a different viewpoint on it, then that's what it should be. I just you look at other sports and how they use their technology. You only have to watch one game of one NFL game to see how many different people they have on and all when the flags get thrown and stuff like that to tell there's something's gone on. For football, I just can't for the life of me understand how it's only partially using VAR. I just don't get that at all. It's just meant, we finally got the picture because Ned decided to do some work.
See, I wanted the other one as well with Michael Oliver, but that's the shirt pull, right? You can see his skin. Yeah. On the other one with Michael Oliver that I sent Ned and he hasn't done yet, is you can actually see Michael Oliver's view and Richarlison's shirt basically by his nipples. There's no pulling on the other one. He's ragging him. And you can see it. So why wouldn't you, as someone who's there in Stockley Park looking at it, just look at it again and go, Michael, go and have a look at this and see what you think. For any team.
To me, though, VAR is so bogged down with procedures where it does. For me, it should be the VAR fella. We've said this from the start. The VAR fella should go. There shouldn't be any procedures. Yeah, we've got the
nice one, Ned. Here's the next one if you look at this one. Now, there's Michael Oliver looking at it. Now, he can see Richarlison's stomach. Yeah. So Richarlison's not pulling his own shirt up. Yeah. He can see him getting pulled. His view's clear. Why wouldn't you go?
The shirt.
That's a foul. It's a foul. It doesn't matter what anyone says.
Richarlison is stretching. How can he pull that ball down if he's stretching because someone is pulling him back? The shirt. The shirt it's a uniform. It's part. The rules say you're not allowed to shirt pull. We've seen loads of times people getting away from people trying to get away from someone and just someone grabs hold of the shirt. Yeah. And the second you grab hold of the shirt, it's a yellow card. It's a yellow card. And yet that's not even seen as a foul. And this is what I just don't get about VAR, is this idea of it can only be brought in this area or that area or this procedure or this or that or the other. It's like, it's supposed to help the referee.
Yeah.
It's not there to go, you got it wrong, you're rubbish at your job. It's supposed to say, you had this viewpoint, but we've got another viewpoint where he's pulling the shirt. Richarlison hasn't got hold of him. He's pulling the shirt. And the minute they say VAR wouldn't have had any problem with it being a penalty, then it's a penalty then, isn't it? It's a penalty then.
Frank Lampard said after the game, it's a penalty. He said, it's clear and obvious is nonsense.
Yeah.
He said, it's nonsense. He said, it's either foul or it isn't. Forget about clear and obvious. It's a foul or it isn't. And we were harshly done. So like I said, the 6 seconds later with the foul on Tony, it's a red card. Yeah. It's a red card. I've got no issue with it. It's a red card. It's frustrating and it's unfortunate, but it's a red card. But that doesn't happen without the penalty. But let's have a look at just the Brantwaite thing, because without the penalty, it's not given. But there's the ball being launched forward, and you can see already Ivan Toney's on the run. And he's running across Brantwaite, which is what you should do as a good striker.
What you should do as a good striker.
Exactly. Next one on, if we play it on, he's ahead of him. And what really, for me, you can see the ball just coming down. What Brantwaite should do is let him go and then try to come round him to cover.
He should actually, and listen, and he's a young lad, he's inexperienced. I think actually the problem with Brantwaite is he's fixated on the ball.
Should.
I think a more experienced centre back lets the ball go there and just says it's one of those things.
If we go on one
he should
more,
actually, and what he should do is, what he should actually do is just almost stop himself and then go round to the left of him, and then
try to get a block
and then because what's going to happen here is Tony's going to either have to take a touch or hit it with his first time, right? If he hits it first time and scores, fair play, you get on with it. And I think what a more experienced centre back would have done is stopped, checked, gone to the left, and then tried to get on his first touch.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he hasn't. Unfortunately, because he's inexperienced,
he just lost the flight of the ball.
With it coming down, being in the Gladys Street, Brantwaite is caught under the ball. He's caught under the ball. Again, it's bad. It's bad defending in the first place, because he actually should have been, one of the centre backs should have been on the halfway line, and the other one should have been in our own half by a couple of yards. Because if it's a foot race from the halfway line, he's the only winner anyway. Really, it's Ben Godfrey, it's different, but it's in a foot race, he's always winning it. And so that's disappointing. But
and because if he scores, fair enough, 11v11, it's 1-1. You get on with it, but it was so to go down to 10 men after 20 minutes. It's such a big ask for him there. But I thought we did okay. immediately after it. Brentford got on the ball more, obviously. Eriksen's brilliant, got on the ball. Norgard, I thought, was superb as well for Brentford. They got on the ball and started popping it around. But we did hold our shape quite well, really, if you think about it. They had one, they'd had a Tony header that went over, didn't he? But
I think from then on, they had a game plan. And it was basically to get the play as wide as they possibly could, get the full-backs up, stretches as wide as we could, and then get ball into the box, knowing that Mason Holgate and Seamus Coleman aren't the biggest two in the world, are they? Let's be honest. And they started to do that, and the irony is they got a corner which wasn't a corner.
Yeah,
you know, I'm in the Gladys, I can see it. It's not a corner. It comes off his foot. I know what happened, but it was very blatant. In fact, Michalenko basically leaves it.
He did when he was fuming.
He basically leaves it because it was. They get it, they keep it alive, flashes across, and then the ball comes back in. And unfortunately, Seamus Coleman's throwing his head at it, which he really. You do, or it's one of them, isn't it? You know, sometimes that could hit his head and go straight into the Gladys Street. Unfortunately, this time.
I hate defenders going like that.
I hate defenders.
When it's the goals here and you're putting your head that
way. I
way.
hate defenders throwing themselves at things with having no real idea of what the consequences is of it. You know, you see it a lot when shots come in and they're going nowhere and someone sticks a leg out and it hits and goes in. I know it's a more of a reflex thing.
It's a split-second thing, but I just don't like defenders that go like this towards their own goal. Because for me, the ball comes in your head, it's only going one way.
One way, yeah.
You know, and it ends up in the back.
Keane did something similar in Spurs, didn't he?
Yeah.
It's 1-1, but you know what? We kept going. We had the plan. We kept the plan going. You know, we think and get to our time. We get the shape back or whatever. Just before our time, long ball down the pitch. Dominic Calvert-Lewin does brilliantly. Richarlison gets in the box, and again the lad who's already been booked comes across, takes Richarlison out, and not only is it a penalty, which it is obviously, but it's a second yellow card. Yeah, the lad's not in control.
It's not even in control. He pulls.
No, but he's not in control. He literally just makes sure he blocks him, and because the bounce does them, and it's a penalty. It's a yellow card, and none of this. It's nothing to do with double jeopardy or anything. It's a second yellow card. It's a sending off. It would have changed the game again. We'd go 2-1 up, and they're down to
level.
And it's and it's almost like you've got your pen. What you want? That attitude.
Yeah.
Again, it's like it's that thing of like, and you hear it all the time. Again, I've heard it today. Dave McGallagher. It's you get that outside the box, but it wasn't outside the box. Again, it's that thing of like, why do you think people can hate referees and hate VAR and think there are conspiracies or there's a narrative? Because that's the way we know you think. You know, we know you think like that. We know referees don't get it. You know, if it's almost just par for the course that you don't get certain fouls in the box, then make it a rule then. Make it a rule that the foul has to be doubly as bad or something. It's mad. It's absolutely mad, this idea that you do not get yellow cards for certain things in the box because, I'd have to send them off. Fucking send them off, then they're the rules of the game.
You had no problem sending Brantwaite.
Yeah, they're the rules of the game.
It was the rules, you sent them off.
Yeah.
There's no problem. This one, the lad was off. They knew as well. He tried to take himself away. They knew, and Oliver knew as well. And that to me is way worse than the first one. The penalty should have been given, and Brantwaite wouldn't have been sent off. But this one, he had to send Brantwaite off. I had no problem with it, like you said. But he had to send Sorensen, I think it was. He had to send him off, and he didn't. And it's embarrassing because it was a booking and the penalty, and it would have been 10v10, and we'd have been 2-1 up. And I would have fancied Everton to go on and win it then, because with the crowd and level men again, and we'd coped really well. You know, our XG was 1.55 in the opening 20 minutes, and theirs was 0.1. So Everton were way ahead. They didn't look like they had anything. Don't get me wrong, I'll have loads of time for Brentford. Good, I'd done brilliantly with limited resources, and they were excellent yesterday with the extra man. They really were, but the referee has influenced this more than he should have done. And this one was if you want to look at it like this, was his opportunity to level it up because he missed a penalty. But not even leveling it up, just actually applying the rules.
Just applying the rules.
If you look, we've got a couple of stills here for the penalty. This is after Dom's flicked it, and there's Richarlison going through with the two of them, and obviously Sorensen's to the right. And he just comes across, his arms out there, but if we can see the next one, it's like closer in. Look at his arm, the ball's beyond him. His arm's out to stop Richarlison, it's just to take him out. It's a professional foul in terms of,
and he
knows what he's doing.
And he falls across him
and that's it, it's a booking, and he should be off the pitch. Yeah. Richarlison scores the pen, we should have gone in 2-1 up and level men and gone, right, it's the same now, get the shape, and we don't, he doesn't send them off, it's a joke of a decision. Richarlison scores the penalty brilliantly, we're winning 2-1, but you know that they're going to get in at half time. Thomas Frank's going to get them organised, change the way they're playing because of the man advantage. And you knew you were in for a very, very long second half. And
that's it. Ultimately, I'd rather have to send it off than the penalty. Because it was so important. Because we're the world-class operators in the middle of the park. And also the other kid, Norgard, 2 good passes the ball, stretching the pitch. And the players we had. But 2-1 up, I just think that Frank Lampard did miss an opportunity at half-time to change the way we were playing. I do think, for me personally, I think I'd have got John Joe Kenny on. I know that's not what everyone would have done. I just think Alex Iwobi as a right-back with Seamus Coleman as a centre-back. You've basically got half a defence. Listen, playing right-back and playing centre-back, or even playing in a 3, they're not the same. They're not the same. I would have moved Iwobi into Anthony Gordon's position, or just said to Iwobi, do what you've been doing the last few games, almost playing as a wing-back. Play John Joe Kenny as the right-back, and probably took Anthony Gordon off, because the way we played second half didn't really offer it. Anthony Gordon was essentially a right-back or a right wing-back. He didn't offer anything in attack, and that's where, for me, I'd have gone with doesn't matter what you think about John Joe Kenny. I'm just thinking about having proper defenders on the pitch who know what, because John Joe Kenny in that position is just not going anywhere. He's playing as a right back. He ain't going forward. He ain't moving out of his position. And I'd have brought him on.
Especially with once we got through the first 10 minutes of the second half, it was clear what was happening. They just had all the ball.
I imagine Frank Lampard's thinking was probably Alex Iwobi's extra height might have helped us, but I also think, for me, defenders defend, attackers attack. You can ask them to do the job, but you start stretching them for the entire game, and it's just not the same. Just not the same. You've asked Alex Iwobi to play right wing back, he's done a brilliant. Now you're asking him to play right back. For me, it's with an onslaught of the way they use their width. For me, it was too much. I'd also have got Gomez off the pitch because he was offering nothing. He can't defend. The lad wants to play on the ball, and even in the first half, he was very slow to see situations happening in front of him. So they got him off the pitch as well. It's difficult because you look at the bench and you think, well, who are we going to bring on? I don't know how fit Alan was or Tom Davis are, but for me, I'd have took him off as well, because we were so deep in the second half that it was like he'd said to us, just defend. And once they started moving us around, and once they started getting balls into the box, I mean, the first one is, it's that corner again. And
we give a corner away because we don't get out to the ball quick enough. Anthony Gordon eventually gets out and they fire it against them for a corner.
Because obviously they've got 2 men in the midfield who can move the ball so well. So they're switching and they're moving us around, and players are being asked to defend.
And Rico Henry just played on the touchline. He's played
and Andy,
so
don't get me wrong,
and his touch is
Andy Gordon's got across to him a few times really well.
Yeah. It's just that on that moment, probably because he's knackered. Yeah. He just looked jaded, and he just couldn't get out quick enough, and he get a corner from it. And it's not a great corner by. I mean, it's great because it ends up in the back of our net. But if you actually watch, it's not a great corner by Eriksen. But he does well.
I suppose. What I mean is, I suppose it might look great to us, but if they've worked on it all week, it might be great.
You can head the ball from here, and
well, maybe they can though. Maybe they can. I don't know. No, but do you think though? Do you honestly think that we were trying to score? Because I think he was just
helping it on. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It loops in, but then I suppose our free kick wasn't.
No, our free kick looked terrible.
We score from it. So there you go.
Richarlison obviously he can't get in front. He can't get there low enough.
I mean, on another day that lands on the top of the net or pick for Cat.
Well, he had one in the first half, didn't he, where it just gone over it every time. They took a set piece, it looked like it was going to go in.
Big though, weren't they?
They're a big side. They've got a great set piece taker, and every time they look dangerous.
Once that hit the net,
that goes in. But then for me, you have to make
Then you have to
changes
make the change.
because they had all the momentum, and I think the feeling within the crowd was if they got one, they were going to get two anyway. So for me, that's where the changes would have been: break the game up, slow it down, use your brains,
Take the momentum
and we
out of it a
didn't.
bit.
And within 2 minutes, you know, a ball's coming in from the right. That Rico Henry gets a run on Anthony Gordon. It's a decent header, but he's unmarked. He's unmarked effectively.
It's a good header, but it's a
good header, but he's unmarked, and it's
if you look at it, we've had a situation where they have the ball over on the right hand side. I think there's just too much space. We've got 3 men over there, but no one's gone to press Norgard, and he's just allowed to put a ball in, and he can see the space he's got there to look up. He puts the ball into the box, and on this next one, you have a look. Anthony Gordon's just got to be goal side, and he's not. Rico Henry's inside. You know, Everton have got a man over there as well. Coleman and Iwobi have been attracted to the ball, and Rico Henry's come round the back.
And this is where I go back.
The next one, he just plants the header.
And this is where I go back to saying about the right back, because there, John Joe would have been inside, and it would have been maybe Iwobi marking there. And I fancy Iwobi in that situation because he's just a bit more switched on defensively than he is. And I just think I know what Frank's trying to do, and I know his subs are always not a little bit later, and he tries to keep the team. But I just think in those situations you have to be clever. I think, you know, the old. I know we used to maybe laugh about it, but the old Weir sub when Moyes was in charge. Sometimes you just have to go. If we're going to defend, then we'd have defenders to defend. If you're gonna sit deep and try and defend your way out of a game, then you need defenders. You know, this is a manager who had no problem playing John Joe Kenny for half a dozen games. You know, between February and March, he had absolutely no problem playing them then, did he? Ahead of people like Patterson. You know, so in a game like this, I know he's got trusted players, but sometimes you have to have the bollocks to just go, you get on there and just defend your life. Now, listen, might mean a different outcome, but I'd prefer defenders than people like Anthony Gordon. So, and obviously they got the lead, and what they did brilliantly, Brentford, for me, was they made good subs, attacking subs, just to control the game. They never panicked, because why would you panic? Why would you panic? You're against 10 men in a game that doesn't really matter to you, apart from spoiling someone else's day. And they never panicked. You know, they got on the ball, they shifted it right and left. They knew they had the beating of our centre-backs most of the time in the air. And they just kept on doing it. They kept control, and I don't think we created another chance.
We'd had 1 or 2-1, haven't we? Charlison put it across, and Dom should have got on the end of it. He moved too slow and ended up hurting himself, actually, trying to get there. But other than that, we had another chance after it. Abdoulaye Doucouré, he's got a score for me. Free header at the back post.
Yeah. Or
heads it straight up, puts it back across, and just heads it into the floor, and Raya pushes it over. But they were few and far between. They controlled it brilliantly. Eriksen was, like you said, Norgard was superb. What they did really well was he put 2 midfield players either side of a centre-back, and they just kept the ball. They used the ball brilliantly, and we had no real answer to it. And yes, Frank has made, of course, you can pick holes in, but I couldn't sit here and go, other managers have done better, because in the last 10 years, managers have made loads. They always will, and we'll always question it, because we're fans. And when you're losing a game, you'll always look what the manager could have done better. But ultimately they used the ball very well, and they're a good athletic side. They make it difficult for you. They work hard. Thomas Frank knew what he wanted to do, and because we didn't have the height of Mina or Keane in the middle, it meant that it was players who. It means Coleman is having to defend crosses, and he's not his game.
It's amazing to think that Michael Keane probably would have done, probably would have been a big difference, wouldn't he?
Yeah. He lets up a lot of those balls into the box. It's what he does. Ironically, the sending off, well, it might never have occurred if it was Michael Keane for a start. But if Michael Keane was even on the bench yesterday, even if it say the way the game went with 10 men would have been perfect for Michael Keane. Sat on the edge of our box, defending everything. That's what his skill set is. Yeah. That's what he's probably the best defender we've got at doing that, of sitting on the edge of the box and clearing his lines. But we didn't have him, and like you said, we can't bemoan that too much. Stuff happens, doesn't it? Stuff happens.
Well, the front two, you know, did get a goal each, didn't he? Don obviously got a touch on the second one, but what did you make of the way those two connected together? Do you think we should have had that more in the last few games, or do you think it was just? I think about
other people.
Go back to the Watford game. I mean, you know,
yeah, maybe. But then if Dominic Calvert-Lewin's not being fully fit or not being shown anything, then see, I would always play Richarlison wide. I just think he's either better as the second striker or wide. I think when he plays as the 9 through the middle, I just don't think he's in the game enough. No. I think he's a threat. If you've got creativity. Last year when Carlo Ancelotti played him through the middle, you had people like Bernard and you had people like Sigurdsson and you had James, and so when he's making runs like at Anfield, ball through the cup game against Spurs, Bernard balls through to him, Sigurdsson put him. We ain't got them players anymore, and therefore the role of your 9 is much different. You've got to get hold of it, back in, keep it. He doesn't want to do that.
I just think we missed this trick on Wednesday night, not starting him now, because I just look.
Play more Rondon, yeah.
I just look at the chaos just in the air he caused in this game. You know, I think we missed the trick.
In the first half.
I think if we'd gone route 1 against Watford with those two, I don't think we would have had any problem scoring goals. I really don't. If the whole entire game, I think we've missed them. I'm not saying Dom had a good game, by the way. Again, I don't think he does what Richarlison does with the effort from the front. I just take the penalty.
Probably should have gone 4-4-2 against Watford. I
just look at the penalty and I just think, if we'd done that 2 or 3 times against Watford, we'd have got well more chances. Let's just look at Dominic Calvert-Lewin's numbers. So 28 touches, ground duels 1, 2 out of 3, aerial duels 9 out of 12. Just tackles 1, pass accuracy 63%,
and he got a goal as well.
He got a goal. Let's look at Richarlison's. 49 touches, 1 goal, 1 assist, 3 key passes, and two big chances created. So good numbers from both.
They both played up. They've scored the goals, haven't they? They've got a goal apiece. I just think second half Dom just dropped.
No,
and that'll be fitness.
And he was stretching loads, and that was clearly cramp. I think he went down. I think people worried that he might have done his hamstring, but he was stretching it, which I was doing the toe curl, which normally means cramp. I just think that we've obviously missed that partnership this season massively, and that's obviously.
Well, we saw against Leicester when Rondon came on and started flicking things on, but Richarlison was in the game all of a sudden and got a goal. Said it loads of times. Because it's not he can't play as a 9, but you need specific players.
He's better as a 10.
But he's better as the 10 or off
split striker or whatever you want to call it, because he reacts. He
likes to run in behind.
He wants to run in
go
behind.
that way. He doesn't want to come this way, and Dom will get his back in. And you played the both of them against Palace on Thursday because for that reason, Dom can cause havoc. He can get a nick on. They're big lads at the back, and Richarlison can get round and cause problems for them. But it wasn't. Let's be honest. It wasn't the fact they were missing loads of chances why we haven't won this game. It was the fact that A, we're a man down, and B, we had a defence at the end that had John Joe Kenny, Mason Holgate and Seamus Coleman with 3 at the back 4. And I think on the strongest day, Coleman probably plays right back, but the other 2 don't get in. Do they? Because you'd have Mina and Keane or whatever in it, wouldn't you? So,
and then obviously later on we've thrown on Rondon to just basically have 2 people flicking them on. Unfortunately, Rondon ends up kicking someone's leg instead of flicking it.
I honestly don't. At the time,
I thought he'd slipped.
It was below me at the time. I seen him jump, but I didn't think he caught the lad, and it was 1 foot like
he caught him with the foot. But
then when
the way he's gone,
he's
gone split, hasn't he?
He's left the floor.
Yeah,
so
he's gone. I've got no arguments with that.
Card. Just stupid because he was on the pitch for 4 minutes and was sent off. Yeah. And then I know it was unlikely, but you never ever know. Any hope you had of maybe just getting a corner or a set play and not going to.
Well, we did at the corner one, like you mentioned.
We had a couple, didn't we?
Mikalenko curled one straight out.
Yeah, which is just ridiculous.
Our set pieces seem to get.
Oh, they're terrible. Whoever's taking them, doesn't matter who it is. They're absolutely terrible. Like Damari Gray came on and looked knackered after 3 minutes. And that's the problem, you see. Take Anthony Gordon off. And people will go, he's knackered, that's the right decision. Gray, there's not the same output from Gray.
No.
He's got ability, don't get me wrong, Damari Gray. He can beat someone and make something happen, but he doesn't like bust the gut to get back, does he?
Again, said this beginning of the season when we talked about the squad. We've run out of plays.
Yeah.
We've run out of plays when it matters, and God knows what the I don't know what the team's going to be for Thursday, but we've had
43 injuries.
We've effectively run out of players, and yet Dele Alli doesn't get on the pitch and El Ghazi's not on the bench, which is just, do you know what I mean?
I think El Ghazi.
No, El Ghazi, I get it. The ship sailed, but
what I'm going to say is quite clearly he's not doing anything, is he?
No, I get
so
that, but then it's that thing of like, does he not do anything because he's done stuff in training and he's not going to be involved? And then you've got someone like Dele, he's not. And again, you go back to that January transfer window, and it was an absolute disaster. It's an absolute disaster. You know, you talk about, well, Donny van der Beek, you know, is he just throwing his hand in? It's an absolute disaster. You know, and again, that comes down to...
He played 5 or something, Van der Beek.
And that comes down to the club dithering on the sacking of Rafa Benitez, then dithering on bringing a replacement in, not having a director of footballing who can bring players in, and just being an absolute all-round fucking joke, as this club is. And as this club continues to be, by the way. Let's not get away from that.
We've got to regroup somehow now. We've got 3 days. The fans will be up for it again on Thursday because that's what we do. The people who are all have been really keeping this atmosphere thing going, done a tremendous job, and we saw that the scenes before the game, the scenes during the game, certainly, you know, the first half, once the 2 goals went in, people were deflated, but the crowd stayed with them. Even at the end, when the whistle went, the people stayed, they clapped them and all that. We've all just got to be in it again together. We've still got the opportunity on Thursday, haven't we? We'd have took this the other week, you know, beat Crystal Palace and you're safe. We'd have all bit your hand off when we go. The morning of that Chelsea game when we were 5 points adrift, we were praying for this opportunity, weren't we? And it'll be a tough game. Palace are a good side, they're a physical side like Brentford. We've got to be able to match them. Hopefully, it looks like Ben Godfrey won't make it, I don't think. But hopefully Michael Keane will be fit. He's going to have to do something with the midfield. It's got to be better than what it was yesterday.
Well, hopefully Alan's available, but might have to put 3 in midfield.
Maybe, and just go for it, and hopefully the crowd will, and hopefully we won't get a referee who's hell-bent on affecting it. And we'll, or if it is, people tell you that it evens out in the season. Well, if it evens out on Thursday, then we'll have 4 penalties.
Going to have a hell of a last 2 games.
3 men sent off for Palace, and we'll walk the game because it's been a shit show for the whole season by the officials. But it's in our hands still. It's in our hands. We've got to go out and, like you said, if we beat Crystal Palace, that's it, it's done. And that's all we can hope for. And it'll be tough, like you say, Brentford were excellent in the fact that they made use of what they had and they did it really well. We've got to make sure that A, we keep 11 men on the pitch, and B, we're up for the fight. And the players were, to be fair, the players did. They did give everything. I think they fell short because they were up against a team that knew how to use the ball. And like you said before, they had a world-class player on the pitch in Ericsson and Norgard, who I thought was superb yesterday.
Yeah, there you go. They're very disappointing.
Just look at the stats before we finished there.
Very disappointing day.
10 attempts at goal, 18 to Brentford, 5 on target, 7 for Brentford. 4 big chances for Everton, 3 for Brentford. 28, it's going to be, isn't it? 28% possession when you've got 10 men for 70 minutes. So a disappointing,
very disappointing
day.
Yeah, it was. I know it took. I think it took a lot out of a lot of people yesterday. But as you say, Thursday just have to be back on it, don't we? As fans, make it as loud as we possibly can. Great for our players, terrible for their players, and just see what happens.
They've got I know it is dangerous. They've got nothing to play for. No. It's a Thursday night. They just played away at Villa.
Yeah.
It's, they've got a home game at United and all that to look forward to on the Sunday. So just go and put everything into this and get the win. And then we can go to Arsenal and the manager can play. The manager can play whoever. Then at Arsenal, it won't matter. Give some kids a game, it won't matter. Let's hope that's the thing.
There you go. We're currently live on Patreon. We will continue to be live on Patreon if you want to join us on Patreon. click the link in the description. There can be a QR code on the screen as well. Make sure to give this video a like, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. See you later.